Hey guys, welcome to the live stream. My name's Josh. Cultivate Your Best Self is about seeking a deeper knowledge of yourself, who you aspire to become, and how and why you value time and money. Welcome to today's live. Go ahead and grab a snack, grab a drink. I'm really excited to share what we have today. I'm going to try and bring a lot more energy to the way that I present these live sessions because sometimes I overhear my wife listening to my live session, and when I listen back to it, like I'm not watching myself, but I can just hear myself. I don't know, but it's just kind of like I need to bring more energy to it so that you guys kind of feel what I'm feeling. And I don't want you to take it as like, it's as inauthentic or anything like that. I'm just bringing more energy into the mix so that you guys kind of feel how excited I am to be sharing, the things that I'm sharing with you guys. So just wanted to bring that up, bring it to the forefront. And today's message, today's live stream, the problem with limitless information is something that's close to my heart because this is something that I've personally dealt with. The whole like being overwhelmed with the amount of content that we're just bombarded with every single day. Whether it's the internet, social media, news outlets, radio stations, whatever it is. It can even be podcasts, right? Like podcasts, they have to advertise stuff. When they have sponsors. They're kind of required to like make money that way, and so we're bombarded with all these like advertisements and opinions of people and people telling us what to do, and it can be tough and it can be debilitating to be consuming so much information and not understanding what to do with it all, right? Like it can make us freeze, right? It can make us freeze. And today I want to talk about 5 major issues that I've done research on and that I've found to be some of the most common ones that occur with people that are just like regular people like us, right? That are consuming a ton of content every single day. And so I want to start off with kind of a choice that you have to make once you're done watching this live stream, or once you're done like kind of listening in on all of these problems that I'm going to present to you guys. You have a choice to make, right? And let me go ahead and bring up the presentation here. Give me just a second. I'm going to adjust. Create a channel to join the chat. I think the chat's running fine. Okay. So let me go ahead and share what my screen is showing. I'm going to minimize my camera. There we go. And I can turn off the background now. So what choice do you have to make, right? What choice do you have to make once you're done watching this live stream? Well, in the one hand, you have the red pill. And what I'm suggesting here is that you take control of the content you consume. And I'll talk about ways that we can do that. And then in the other hand, that's the red pill. The blue pill is to continue consuming content with no filter or strategy. Basically continue doing what you're doing on a daily basis. Whether it's, spending 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours even just doom scrolling, right, on Instagram Reels or TikTok or whatever it might be. That's the blue pill. I'm hoping, obviously I can't control what you do, and I'm going to touch on this a little bit later. But my hope is that I share enough information with you guys so that I inform you guys on what's going on in the world, and I share my own experiences, right? Like I had issues with consuming content, and once I took control of it, my life completely changed in terms of what I was able to consume and apply to my own life. Gracias. My dog's trying to get attention. Okay, so let's move on to what the 5 major problems are. Hey Suzanne, welcome to the live stream. So, an explosion of information, right? Over the last 30 years, the internet has provided us with a wealth of information. And the longer people have access to it, the more, people continue to upload things to the internet, the more information that we have, the more opinions that we have to sift through, the more advertisements and just content in general that we get bombarded with every single day. And while you may initially think that, having all this information at your fingertips is good, there's several huge problems that few people are trying to understand. You may be kind of aware of it, but not really necessarily address the problem because, it tends to be easier not to address issues and just continue on like, living in your comfort zone or, just continuing to consume content to distract yourself from things in your life that you may not be satisfied with. And I'd like to shed more light on what some of these problems are and some ways to overcome them because honestly, your quality of life depends on it. Or you can ignore what I have to say and continue to let the monkey in your head make decisions for you. And what I mean by monkey is that like imagine two parts of your brain or two sides of your brain. One is, the monkey kind of steering wherever it wants to go, wherever it feels happy, and then you have the more rational version of you that, makes logical smart decisions. And oftentimes it's the monkey that kind of takes over because if you make the logical rational decision, something that's actually good for you, it may be harder than to just continue doing what's easy. And so, I hopefully you kind of take to heart, it's up to you guys, right? Like you guys have to be willing to want to change. Nothing really I can say can do that for you, but hopefully with the information and the knowledge that I'm kind of sharing with you guys, you can make your own decision once you have the information. So let's start with problem number 5. Information overload. It's a huge problem, right? We're rarely capable of handling our own content consumption. I mean, like, I just saw a TikTok today of there's a woman. It starts off with this woman. She's on her phone, and she starts off laughing, right? She's like, ah, oh, that's so good. And she's like, Jerry, you have to see this. And she turns around, and Jerry's on the floor, like unconscious. She's like, oh, right, 911. And she's making fun of the fact that she gets so distracted easily. And I'm looking through the comments and people are like, this is so relatable. Like I'm distracted right now. I was supposed to come on to search for, the recipe for dinner. And now I'm doom scrolling TikTok. People, because we're so overloaded with information, our attention spans have just like completely short circuited. And because of the amount of information that we're bombarded with, it's so easy for us to get distracted when we're supposed to be focusing on something that's actually supposed to be helping us. And so, like learning any new skills, it takes understanding in our own way and lots of practice to overcome kind of ingrained bad habits. And one of the things that we've kind of gotten addicted to is this consumption of unfiltered content, just short form content, things like that. And without having a system in place or a way to filter what you look at, then you're going to continue to compound the issues that you're dealing with in your own life by not addressing them. Right? You're kind of distracting yourself with all this, tons of information, these forms of short forms of entertainment, and none of it is really benefiting you, right? Like you're not really learning anything from it. It's like a short hit of dopamine, and what science and research, kind of tells us is that the more you take those hits, the more your mind, your brain kind of craves it. And so it's really hard to break out of that need to consume that content. And then I wrote here, it's kind of almost like we need an adultier adult to tell us not to use our phones so much. But telling you not to do something more than likely has the opposite effect, right? Like if I tell you, stop using your phone, stop scrolling TikTok so much, you're more likely to continue doing it. Like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But, that's hopefully that's not the case. Instead, what we need to do is to have someone kind of catch us reading or journaling or meditating, the things that are good for us, that we know science says is good for us, the research says is good for us, and saying, hey, great job, I'm impressed with what you're doing, I'm impressed that you're reading that book or that you're journaling about your day, and reinforcing these positive habits so that we continue to make a difference in the world. And this is part of my journey and my mission as a growth strategist and accountability coach. I'm transitioning careers from architecture to this side of things so that I can help reinforce those positive habits, to share with people the strategies that I've learned from, people with PhDs, people who have done years of research, have had tons of experience, and built frameworks for ways for you guys to do things that will help you grow in healthy, productive ways, to bring you joy, to bring you fulfillment, to bring you stronger relationships. And that's all, the whole message of what I'm trying to send through this channel is all about that. And so I'm trying to spread that through this new transition into this, this work that I'm going to start doing. Where was I? Oh yeah, so the this positive reinforcement, especially from someone that's close to us or someone that's trying to help us, so that we get those dopamine hits from that positive reinforcement, so that we continue to do the things that are healthy and good for us. Problem number 4. Reference points. Now this is one that I learned from Lori Santos, who is an expert in happiness, and she has a video on. Oh, I thought I saw somebody. She has a video on YouTube that talks about kind of some myths about happiness, and some of the ways that we're just bad at making ourselves happy. And this is one of the major ones that I think kind of comes from having limitless amounts of information, having tons of ways to consume content. And what I mean by reference points is we don't think in objective terms. As much as it would benefit us to think in logical, rational ways, we don't do that. Why? Because we're social and emotional beings. It's really hard to think in objective terms. Instead, what most of us do is we compare all our outcomes in life to something or someone else. And just think about this for a second. Think about how easy it is to just be scrolling on Instagram, and then all of a sudden you get an advertisement of like, hey, are you unhappy with your life because you don't have a Ferrari, 20-bedroom mansion, and live on the coast like I do? And then you see you see these people living these extravagant lives, and and you don't know if it's real. It could be fake, and they're trying to sell you on something, right? They're trying to sell you a lifestyle. And as long as you continue to think that having more of whatever you don't have now is going to make you happier, then you're going to continue to be unhappy. You're going to continue to put yourself down for where you are in your life, when objectively, you could be doing very well, right? If you have a job, you put food on the table, a roof over your head, objectively, rationally, you're doing pretty well. And you have a lot to be thankful for. But you don't focus on that, right? And I'm guilty of this too sometimes, right? I'm guilty of not being satisfied where I am financially in my life right now. And I don't necessarily compare myself or aspire to be like, someone with a Ferrari or a mansion or any of that. Like I'm thinking in much more modest terms, but my situation now, I'm not entirely happy with where I am, and part of that is probably contributed to, or part of what has contributed to my unhappiness is seeing, other people. And I think for myself, what I take away more from when I see other people being successful is I'm inspired to push myself to get out of my comfort zone, to push past my fears, right? Like when I first started this live stream, I was so nervous. I was worried about, like, nobody watching me, and still I get like very few views right now, but I'm much more confident in presenting what I'm passionate about compared to where I was in the beginning. And I think I've made huge strides, and I'm still going to continue to push this for many, many years, because I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. Like the people that I look up to and I aspire to be like, they're all on a mission to help deliver a message to the broader public, to help you guys live, in most cases, to live a healthier, happier, and more fulfilling life. And a lot of the things that I present, if you were to take action on some of the things that I talk about in this live stream, in previous live streams, I almost guarantee that it would improve the big three areas of your life: your health, your wealth, or your relationships. And the sooner that I am able to deliver the message and get people to understand that these things are tried and true, right? A lot of what I present is taken from people with PhDs, like I've mentioned before, people who have done years of research on huge groups of people, doing things that are bad for you, doing things that are good for you, and understanding the difference. And we have a general knowledge, and even specific knowledge on things that we have to do in order to get ahead to a point where we're satisfied and feel fulfilled. And part of that is taking control of the information that you consume. It's as easy as that. Let's go back to the to the reference points, right? As long as there's someone else out there doing better than you, you're more than likely going to feel bad and want more. And that's kind of the trick to that's something that you have to kind of get past, but it's difficult because it's something that you feel, right? And feelings, as I've mentioned in previous live streams, control about 90% of the decisions that you make, as opposed to logic or rationality. And so it's extremely difficult not to compare yourselves to someone who's doing better than you. And I'll admit, right? I'll admit that I sometimes feel inferior compared to some of the friends that I have who already have purchased their own homes. Obviously, like, they've done something right in their life, right? To be able to afford the house that they have. But again, I don't know all of their circumstances, right? I don't know if they were left some inheritance. I don't know if they got help from their parents. I don't know if they come from a wealthy background. I don't know what their spending habits are. I don't know what what their jobs entail, whether they're satisfied in the jobs that they have. There are certain things, certain characteristics that I don't take into account. I just see that they have their own homes and think, they must be doing something right in their life, and I'm not, because I don't own my own home yet. And so, I struggle with this too, right? I sometimes make these comparisons, and I shouldn't be doing it. We are all on our own journey. We're all on our own journey, and we're all gonna figure it out in due time. It's just sometimes some of us figure it out, figure things out later in life than some other people. And when I first started my account on X, formerly Twitter, I'm seeing what appears to be like kids in their early 20s, mid 20s. And I say kids because ever since I learned that um, the part of the brain that is responsible for making logical, rational decisions, not being fully developed until around between ages 25 and 28. I consider like anything younger than that, I just say kids, because they're incapable of fully taking advantage of the part of their brain that hasn't developed yet. And it's no fault of their own. It's just that's how long it takes for that part of our brains to develop. But these kids, they're figuring it out at that age, right? They're understanding that you have to take control of how you manage yourself. You have to take control of the information that you consume. You have to understand the emotions behind why you value money, why you value your time, and they're figuring it out early. And so I'm like, wow, I wish I could have been like that in their age, but I'm sure I experienced things at their age that they haven't experienced yet. And so there's these trade-offs that you kind of have to consider. And while I'm not unhappy with where I am in life, I'm very much happy and content with my family, my friends, and my health, right? A lot of people can't say that they have their health as good as I might have it, but I work hard at it, right? I work hard nearly every single day to keep my health up in order to have the energy to be able to continue producing, continue to create content around all these things that I'm really passionate about getting out to you guys. And still having energy to be able to spend quality time with my wife, my son, go out for long walks with my dog, and create content around on TikTok around the things that I talk about here on YouTube and on X. It's all interrelated. The only thing I'm kind of dissatisfied right now is where I am financially. But I'm confident that part of my life will catch up within the next 5 years or so. And I'm going to continue to build on what I've learned and what I've implemented into my own life, so that I can accomplish the missions that I have set for myself. Wow, that's it's kind of a huge I don't know if you would say like branch off of what I was talking about, but let me take a quick drink of water. Actually, I'll drink a sip of my coffee here. It also could be why have a little bit more energy than usual. I had a cup of coffee before I started this because I was a little bit tired earlier. Problem number 3. Shallow learning, the illusion of competence. Now, this is something that I learned from a man or a guy named I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, Nishant Kasibatla, and I'll get to him in just a second. But this particular problem, I think my wife's coming. This particular problem, thank you. I'm trying to be more energetic because I mentioned in the beginning, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but I was talking about how my wife Ophelia was watching one of my videos, and I'm like, wow, I sound way too monotone, I guess. And so I need to bring a little bit more energy to the live stream. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yep, my wife's definitely here. Give me just a second as she walks in. I think my dog's gonna try and jump on her. She's got my son. No! What's in the bag?
My mom gave me the
Food or?
yeah.
Oh. Shallow learning and illusion of competence. This is to the person who's always learning new things on YouTube, but never applying what they learn. And I think that a lot of people are guilty of this, right? They just consume one piece of content and then move on to the next thing. And it gives this illusion of competence, right? Like they They feel smarter, like they've learned something, but really all it is a form of intellectual entertainment. And Nishan Kasibatla covers this well in his video Mastery: How to Learn Anything Fast. And that video has over 14 million views. And this guy, if you check out his video, like, he knows what he's talking about. He's an expert in memorization, and he wasn't always that way. He was a self-proclaimed, like, chronic procrastinator, like couldn't memorize anything if his life depended on it. And he completely turned his life around and became this like master at memorizing like crazy amounts of I think he memorized like a 1,000 something digit number off the top of his head. Like it's crazy like what he's been able to do. And I like his story because he practiced at it. It's not something that he was naturally gifted at. He had to continually practice at getting better. And so that's why I like his video. But he refers to, learning something after, like one thing after another, as the illusion of competence. And I think he also calls it shallow learning. But this is a huge problem, that people tend to feel like they're smarter because they have access to so much information, but without really applying it to your own life for your own benefit, there's really not much else you get from learning something new other than learning something new, right? Like I say, it's intellectual entertainment, and that's about it. But when it really comes down to it, we forget about 90% of what we learn if we don't reinforce it within a week. And I think I covered this in a, you know what? I don't think I covered it in a YouTube video. I might have, I'm not sure, but I do remember posting it on X. There was like every single day, there's a way to kind of reinforce what you learned the previous day. And the more consistently you reinforce it, it was like a bar graph. And it was like, over 7 days, it kind of declines like this until you basically forget everything that you've learned from 7 days ago. But if you reinforce what you learn and apply it to your own life in some way, like consistently, like at least, if not every day, like every couple days, then the likelihood that you remember it increases significantly, because of this whole concept of what's called structural changes in the brain, right? There's chemical changes in the brain when you learn something, and there's structural changes. And in order to better retain and apply what you learn, you have to create those structural changes in your brain. When you first learn something, like if let's say you watch a YouTube video and you learn it for the first time, that's only a chemical change. And if you never look at that content again, that chemical change eventually dissipates. Does that make sense? And if you don't reinforce it, then it doesn't give your brain a long enough time to create the actual bridged neuron connections, that structural change, to be able to remember and retain that information for longer term. So that's why, it takes a lot more than just watching something once to really grasp and remember. If you're looking to improve your memory, just like continuously look over the content, every single day or every couple days, and you'll become much better at remembering things. Problem number 2. I'm going to grab that cup of water because I'm out of coffee. I'll be right back. Okay, I got it. Oh, that's good. Good filtered water. Okay. Depression and anxiety. This is an increasingly bigger problem that's occurring, especially with the younger generations. Like Gen Z, Gen Alpha. They're going to have a lot of struggles with these two things because of what limitless amounts of information, having access to limitless amounts of information is doing to the general population. And I see it, I've seen two different sides of this. I tend to notice that on, I've seen two different spectrums. I've seen the poor side of society, and I've seen um, like more middle class, and then like wealthier sides. And what I've observed is that a lot of people who live in poorer conditions, like the lower class, they tend to want to purchase things for their kids that they didn't have growing up. Um, when people in like lower to like lower middle income classes come up poor, they tend to want to uh, use whatever money that they generate to be able to give to their kids, and they think they're doing their kids justice, because they didn't have the things that they wanted growing up, and so they think the right thing to do is to give their kids iPads, iPhones, digital things that are really just hurting them and isolating them and making them more depressed and anxious. And a lot of them don't see it. And the middle class, I see more often, it's a mix of them wanting to give things to their kids that they didn't have, or if they're more aware, more conscious of what social media is doing to society, they tend to hold off giving their kids phones or access to screens. It's tough, right? It's tough because screens are everywhere. They're in restaurants, at the dentist office, at the doctor's office, you name it. Like, there's gonna be iPads and screens. Bless you. There's gonna be screens everywhere, and they can try to control, what they can control, and that's not giving their kids screens in the home. And when it comes to wealthier families, they're doing their best job to provide more experiences for the kids, right? To take them out, to go out on adventures, and it's just something that like the middle and lower classes aren't able to do because they can't afford to go on vacations. They can't afford to pay for more experiences for their kids to have, and it's just crazy that society works in this way where, like, the wealthier, because they are more in tuned with what's going to keep them wealthy and keep their families wealthy, and not distracted by social media, they can do things that are healthier for their kids. It's just kind of a reinforcing thing where the wealthier are just going to continue to get wealthier. The middle class, they're some of them will be able to move upward in the scale as the generations go on, and then the lower class, they're just going to continue to get bigger and bigger because they don't know any better. They don't have access to the same educations. The amount of hours that they're putting into work is it takes them a lot more time to generate money because they're trading their time for money to be able to pay the bills. And so they use that money to just pay the bills and give their kids what they didn't have, and they have no time to learn any better. And so this access to all this information, especially in the hands of kids, is reinforcing this whole, like, the reference points thing that I mentioned earlier, right? It's much easier for them to compare themselves to someone that's doing better than they are, and without that adult in their life to kind of teach them, look, what you see on the internet isn't always like the full picture, right? And you have to learn to be grateful for the things that you have, and to not compare yourself to, like, your worth doesn't come from the material things that you think might bring more worth or value to your life. That's not where your worth comes from. It comes from, like, the values that you uphold within yourself, right? The way that what you choose to do with your life, what you choose to pursue, and whether that aligns with your values, like that creates meaning and purpose in your life, not that Ferrari, not that mansion, as you get older, not kids having like 10 iPads or whatever you might see on the internet. It's just, I don't know. It's crazy, right? It's yeah, it's just really easy for kids to be more affected by this. Um, but yeah, so let me get into my bullet points here. I haven't even touched on the bullet points. Research tells us that there are positive correlations between comparing yourself and your circumstances to what you see on social media. Developing feelings of envy, increasing your likelihood of depression and anxiety. There's tons of research on this already that tells us, the more you compare yourselves, the more you get jealous of what other people have, the more you get bitter about what other people have, and then this increases, your likelihood of getting depression and anxiety, because like you might be telling yourself, we're emotional beings, so like in our head we might be telling ourselves, I'm not good enough, or why can't I be creative like them, or I wasn't meant to have that. Like it's just this negative reinforcement loop, and it's terrible. External validation. Some kids, some people, some adults even associate their worth based on the number of views or likes they get when they post on social media. And I never understood this. I've never been one to chase likes or views, or um, and I'm sure you can kind of tell that through my live streams, right? Like I I'm not necessarily overly focused on the number of viewers I have while I'm presenting this, but the fact that I'm here, that I show up, that I tell you, like, this is what I stand for, this is what my mission is, to spread the word of having a growth mindset, having a beginner's mindset, continuous learning, self-management, knowledge management, and money management. All these things are so incredibly important to increasing the quality of life that you experience. That's what I'm here for. And regardless of however many views I have now, or the number of people that are tuning in, my message will get across eventually, and I'll reach the people that I need to reach. But it just takes time. It takes consistent effort to get there, and I'm trying to establish a certain amount of trust. And by me continually showing up, I'm slowly building that with an audience that hopefully comes. But I know it's having an effect, because I'm getting feedback from other platforms, and it's just YouTube, it's a lot harder to grow, and I'm okay with that. Like I am okay with delayed gratification. I know that that's a quality of a good successful leader, someone who will eventually come into their own success. It takes consistent effort, and not a lot of people have the patience or have the discipline to be able to do that. And part of where that comes from is my own core values and the missions that I have that align with those core values, and then the identity that I'm hoping to achieve in the future, based on these consistent actions. Not external validation, which is what that bullet point was. If you're someone who posts just to get the likes or the views, I see this the most on TikTok. People are just frustrated because they continue posting and posting, and the outcome that they're looking for is to get to that 1,000 followers, or their 10,000 followers, or 100,000 followers, whatever it is. And they might be at 200, 300 followers, and they're like, why am I not growing? Like, I want to get the views, I want to get the the growth, and they're overly focused on that. And their message on their TikTok channels is unclear, right? Like, they're just posting just to get the views, and there's not really an underlying message in what they're trying to portray with what they're posting. And it's because they're searching for that external validation. There must be something in their life that they're looking to fill by posting on TikTok and getting that validation from the views, from the followers. And that can contribute to their depression and anxiety as well. Hi, Noah. My son's staring at me through the ring light. He's just watching me talk. Motivation drain. When you're busy focusing on how you're not as fortunate as those you see on social media, you invalidate the progress that you're making in your own life, overlooking what's good in your life. And the more you continue to do that, the more it will likely contribute to the depression and anxiety that you might be feeling in your own life. Let's see, it's 6:42 and we are moving on to problem number 1, which is really getting to the crux of the message I'm trying to send here. Poverty of attention. I love this quote by Herbert Simon. He's an American economist and cognitive psychologist. What information consumes is rather obvious. It consumes the attention of its recipients. Hence, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. This is, I think, the number one issue that we're facing now with the limitless amounts of information that we're exposed to and that we have access to with this, right? That our phones, are giving us access to news outlets, to streaming platforms, to social media, to our friends, our family, like millions and millions of opinions, advertisements, like you name it, shows, movies, way too much information that's vying for our attention. Our attention's being pulled in so many different directions. It's no wonder that it's hard for us to focus on any one task. It's no wonder that people are getting so easily distracted in their lives, not being able to achieve their goals. And this is one of the reasons why I've chosen to leave the architecture field and focus more on growth strategy and accountability coaching, because people are struggling with this more and more in their lives, and without the proper guidance and encouragement and just knowledge and information, right, someone to teach them what are the correct ways to do things, then people will continue to lead these lives of unsatisfaction, their lives going unfulfilled, people not reaching their potential, and all because of the ton of information that we have access to today. Information is food for the brain, and if you consume junk, your brain will output junk. And we see this time and time again. Like you go on any social media platform, and I'm sure that you'll find just content that is just silly, right? It's just silly. It's meant to make you laugh, but other than kind of bringing that laugh to your life, what else is it providing you, right? Like, it's not sparking any ideas. It's not motivating you to make change within your own life. And the longer that you continue not to have a strategy or a plan for how you consume content, then the longer you'll go, or the more likely you are to experience all of the other problems that I've mentioned in today's live stream. And something that my son, is he farting? Something that Tiago Forte, he's the author of Building a Second Brain. Something that he says that I really believe to be true is that the ability to intentionally and strategically allocate our attention is a competitive advantage in a increasingly distracted world. And that's really like the kind of the core of my message for this live stream, is that like I mentioned, if you're not strategic and intentional about what you consume and how you consume it, and applying it to your own life, then you're really at a huge disadvantage compared to, those that you see or that you think are successful. The people that are truly successful, they're good about not consuming, just anything, right? They're intentional about what they need to consume in order to move their lives forward. And that's kind of where I've learned to kind of focus my attention on is like, sure, I still consume some TikTok here and again, without really like, without, like when I'm relaxing, for example, and I have a set time to kind of, wind down. Um, I'll look at silly TikToks and stuff like that, but the vast majority of the amount of information that I consume either comes from books, comes from podcasts, or comes from content from people who are much more successful than I am. And that keeps me motivated, that keeps me inspired to continue pursuing, what it is I'm pursuing, to be able to reach and accomplish my missions in life. And yeah, after I finish these paintings, I will have done 5. I think I'm going to start another. I can't read what that says. There's a there's like a emoji selection that's kind of blocking it. I'm going to start another. I can't see what that is. But oh, you've done 5. That's awesome. Oops, sorry. Another craft. Oh, another craft. Oh, it says another car. You didn't finish typing. Um, Another craft soon, just to keep the mind learning something new. Yeah, that's great. Um, I personally love painting, and ever since you've mentioned kind of getting into it, I've spent maybe like a few minutes here or there, kind of reorganizing, because I have a ton of resources on painting, and this was back during COVID. Back during COVID, I was trying to improve my painting skills, and I was using gouache at the time, which is a water based paint. And then after that, I got into oils, but the oils that I was using, you didn't the thing that kept me from getting into oils too much was that you needed to have chemicals, like toxic chemicals, to be able to clean the brushes. But I came across an artist who developed his own oils that had like the same long lasting properties as oil painting. um, Oil paintings can last for hundreds of years, and he was able to kind of adjust his chemical mixture to be able to have that same properties of longevity, but also to be able to wash those brushes with water, which was pretty amazing. It's I think, as far as I know, it's like one of the first types of oil paints that I've come across where you can actually wash the brushes off with water and not harmful chemicals. And I loved I loved the texture of his paint, and I loved using them and mixing them and stuff. And back during COVID times, I remember there was this particular shade of blue that I really wanted, and it was sold out for years. And then I think it was earlier. I want to say it was earlier this year that blue paint came back on the market, because he this singular artist, he makes his own paint with like a team of like 3 or 4 people, I think. So as soon as it came back on the market, because I had set to remind me through email, like when it comes back in stock, I purchased like 2 or 3 tubes of it, and I have not really painted since then, but I have the paints in my pantry, because they last a long time as long as you keep them, in room temperature. But eventually I'll get back into it. I'll get back into painting. I loved it. I loved going out. I created like my own custom easel, and I had like like small canvases. Who is the artist? Oh, I have to let me see. I have to look him up. I know he's up on YouTube. But yeah, his the oils that he creates, um they're really good, and I love that the fact that you can clean those brushes with water. I'm searching on my I have him subscribed to, or actually maybe can I go to his web, what is his website? Paint. Maybe I can check my email. Oh, you know what? That's on the my art email, which I'm not logged into. Okay, let me go back to YouTube. So I'm getting distracted. Now I was pretty much done with my presentation, so I don't mind getting a little distracted here, but Geneva. Can I post this in the chat? Oh, I can. Oh, darn it. What did I do? I have to log into my email to be able to talk in the chat, but the artist's name is where's that website? About our paint. Here, let me pull this. I'll pull this up. This is the artist's website where he sells his paint. And this was the initial one that I bought, the 100 milliliter essential palette. And then the blue that I wanted was this one, the phthalo blue. I got in this essential palette, I got the French ultramarine, which is what it came with. But I didn't get the shades of green that I wanted when I mixed it with yellow that you could get with phthalo blue. And so this was out of stock for years, and it looks like it's in stock now. But yeah, the greens that you can produce when you mix this with yellow is like a much more vibrant green, in my opinion. And yeah, just talking about it, I want to start painting again, but oops, I think I closed the chat. Let me open that back up. Chat. There we go. But yeah, GenevaFineArt.com. And then I can't, the artist isn't really on here. Draw Mix Paint. Yeah, this is the guy. About me. Mark Carter is a highly regarded artist who started painting in 1986. He has painted commission portraits of 2 U.S. presidents and a U.S. Secretary of State. He started painting seriously at the age of 22. He taught himself to paint and then went on to copy works by John Singer Sargent, Rembrandt, George Inness, and Henry Rayburn. If you've never seen these artists' paintings, I recommend looking them up. They're beautiful works of art. It looks like he painted Bush. But oh yeah, here you go. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm mostly used to seeing him paint stuff like this. And he uses his own paints. He's got a lot of good stuff on here. But yeah. Oh, I did post it in there. Yeah, you can see it on there. Yeah, it's 6:56, so I think that's it for me. Hope you guys got some good information out of this live stream. And if you're watching this after the fact. Hopefully you guys give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, so you can support me and continuing on this journey of sharing information that I know can change your lives. As long as you're open-minded and willing to implementing some of the strategies that I talk about here. If that's something that you're looking to accomplish in your own life. But that's it for me here with Cultivate Your Best Self. Hope you guys have a great day, and keep learning and keep growing. I'll catch you guys in Thursday's live stream. Bye.